Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Starting this show right now. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 643. My name is Nick Henderson. I'm joined tonight by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
I got the show number right, guys. This week I fucked up so bad last time.
Yeah.
Brad, I forgot to ask you. Did you listen to last week's show?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well then
That's your question?
That was my question. Anyways, Sorry, I got distracted for a second. Let's get started. We do have some stuff to talk about tonight. I want to remind everybody before we get too far into it, of course, we have a Discord. We'd love you guys to join us in. It's discord.gg/4player. Join us there. We're coming up on the end of our Revival Club for the month. We're playing Okami right now, so I'm going to be recording a podcast here. I want to say probably the first week of June, probably end of the first week of June. It looks like I'm going to be recording, hopefully, with David. David said he's playing it. And Kenton, I think, is going to be the community member who's on that show. So should be a good time. So if you're a supporter on Patreon or Twitch and you want to jump in and play the game right now, again, we're playing Okami. It's a great, fun game. And lastly, I wanted to point out that if you're a supporter on Patreon at the $10 tier or higher, we announced a new tier or benefit, I suppose. If you support us at that tier, we are going to be working together to put together short videos. So if you want to talk about video ideas and pitch us on concepts, we have a video producer tier in Discord now, or a channel in Discord that you should have access to at this point. So go check that out. But I guess we can just jump right into it. We have some video games to talk about. Am I right, fellas?
Yeah,
Sort of. I don't remember the order. Chris Davis has special requests tonight in terms of the order of operations here, so
we're gonna go with the newest game first.
Not a lot of new, but yeah.
It's new-ish. This is weird.
That's just pre-game. Sometimes it slips out a little. It's a demo. It's just pre-game.
Oh, you're right. It sounded kind of dirty. Let's talk about. I didn't get to play this. I downloaded the demo for this, and I was going to play it today, and then I realized I don't have the horribly expensive controllers.
Nick is basically Iron Man, but back when he was in like Iraq in a cave or wherever he was, Afghanistan, whatever.
Correct.
He's got like a shitty suit. It kind of works, but his thrusters don't work.
But first, Nick is going to read some feedback from our last show.
Oh my God. Thank you, Chris Davis. Thank you so much. I do have feedback from last week's show. Way to keep me on point.
Nick, you just need like just a bullet point list.
I really do.
Let's go through this.
The stupid thing is I have it pulled up on my screen. Like it's literally in front of me for this exact purpose, and I still didn't read it.
Chris, are you drinking urine?
No, it's a Jarritos.
What?
Never had one of these?
He
said this so matter-of-factly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't read backwards, Chris Davis.
Jarritos.
Jarritos?
I don't think that's what they call it.
It's a soda.
Wouldn't it not be Jarritos?
Yeah, the J in Spanish.
I don't know.
Like H.
You live in fucking Texas, man.
I mean, I understand that, yes.
We are so white.
Got one of them Jarritos.
Speak for yourself.
The jalapenos.
Oh my God. Next,
just do the feedback.
Moving on. First bit of feedback tonight comes from Shakusky. Shakusky says, love the podcast. I listen at work. Shakusky. I listen at work and I do a lot of 10-hour shifts, so I've been combing through old episodes. The banter between you guys consistently has me busting up laughing. It's a good thing I wear a mask at work, otherwise I'm sure I'd catch some strange looks. Anyways, thanks for making these on a weekly basis. Last week's was another great episode. I'm just wondering, why was Nolan fucking a chicken?
Oh,
that was my fault.
All your weird statements. Let's fuck this chicken or whatever you were saying. Like,
hey, sometimes those weird ass sayings lead to some really hilarious moments. Like the end.
But you're the one who said it. Like, where did you hear that first?
I still bust out laughing when I think about Brad's joke about the inside of a cow. If you remember that, that was a great moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go find it. It's fantastic.
I like the one we did about fucking the house or whatever.
Hands like houses, and you were talking about. Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know what episode that was, so no one's gonna be able to find that. I'm sure, unless I'm sure there's probably a clip out there on YouTube or something. Fantastic stuff. Anyways, thank you for the kind words, Shakusky. We really appreciate it. Live at the Milky Way says, I apologize. I'm a bit behind on podcasts, so I'm responding to episode 640. I'll allow it. 3 things. 1, Brothers in Arms 2, Earned in Blood, I believe is highly underrated. The atmosphere is soul crushing in a way you'd hope a World War II atmosphere would be, and it becomes punishingly difficult towards the end. It communicates the fear and dread of being dropped into Normandy and left to fend for yourself. I can't speak for that game. I've literally only played
Normandy. Do they do D-Day in that one?
I think they do.
Whoa.
Chris Davis is like, I'm done with this.
Finally.
Chris Davis tried to sell me on Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway this week, and I had to show him the receipts. I've actually played 6.5 hours.
And you remember fucking nothing of that.
Bye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.
We'll remember you fondly.
He's back.
All right. Did I just drop?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry. Did you call me out for not remembering any of it?
Yes, I did.
That's literally just because Brothers in Arms is just not my jam, really.
Which is fucking sad.
There's probably a lot of better games, or at least
Sure, there are plenty of better games and better told stories, but this is as close as to a Band of Brothers experience as video games have ever gotten.
But I'm sure that's fantastic if that's what you're looking for.
What is that business card you have, Chris Davis?
Oh, it's just some kind of trash that you throw away.
I thought the color of the font was bone.
Oh my god. Number 2, he says, to clarify, because he chimed in a few episodes ago, I'm pursuing he was a supporter spotlight. I'm pursuing costume design and costume concept art in both the film and game industry. I'll let you know if I ever make it.
That's cool.
Good luck.
That is cool. Best of luck. Please let us know if you make it. I would love to see some of that shit. Number 3, he said, you all said you had beaten The Witness, but I just want to make sure you aren't talking about reaching the quote-unquote facade ending with the angel wings. If you haven't unlocked both achievements, I implore you to reinvest time in that game, because the second one is immensely satisfying.
Is he talking about getting all, like, what was it, 13 shafts of light
think
or
so.
whatever it is? Or
Yeah.
I definitely did not. That game...
Oh, Nick's gone. I don't think you have to do all of them. I think you just have to do that big hard puzzle at the end. Well, maybe it does require all the lasers. I don't know.
I can't remember either. I got to a point where I don't want to say gotten burnt out, but kind of. When you're doing like hundreds and hundreds of line puzzles for dozens and dozens of hours, like you eventually are kind of like, you know what? I'm done. I got to see what's his face, Jonathan Blow, like piss in a bottle or whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I do not.
Brad, clearly you didn't beat the game.
When you do
I never played the game.
And so replaying The Witness and going back and kind of revisiting that world has been on my to-do. I got it on my phone because it was like on sale.
A game. That is not a game I feel like you can just slip back into.
Oh, no, you can't. So I kind of did start playing it on my phone. It's not as easy to play as I'd like. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. So I don't know. I do eventually at some point in my life plan on revisiting that and maybe trying to do all of the puzzles.
I would love to do it again, but it's one of the situations where if I ever did, I know I would have to go back and start from scratch, because that is literally a game about learning the rules, and it does it incrementally. Mm-hmm. So just jumping into the deep end would be a nightmare.
You would have to try to re-find the puzzles that teach you the rules is the thing, because you can still redo them. But yeah, like it would still be challenging to try and just pick it up.
And our last comment tonight comes from Slopdog. He says, Nolan, my parents also did the whole storefront display thing on Christmas morning. And I have to say, I loved that way more than unwrapping gifts. I don't know why, it just felt more magical waking up and seeing those gifts set up and already and ready to play with on Christmas morning.
Yeah, my parents did that too. Or Santa.
That's so dope. I think that happened to me once, and it was the Christmas I got like all Ghostbuster stuff. Like literally everything I got was like the Firehouse, the Ecto 1, the Proton Pack. It was all just kind of splayed out on.
Because Brad brought up a good point, and I probably should have brought that up when we talked about it last week. That yes, when I was that young, I did think it was Santa. I did not think it was my mom who set it up. I thought it was, she was like, "Look what Santa left you," and I was fucking, I don't know, like 7, 8. So yes, I thought it was Santa. But yeah, and that's the only problem with that is, depending on how the future goes, if I have kids one day or whatever, it's not like I'm gonna wait for Christmas to buy the next video game console or some shit, or maybe I'm just gonna have to buy it on my own and keep it hidden in a room where they don't know it exists and wait until Christmas or something, because I'm not gonna fucking wait for it. Maybe I can somehow make them wait, but I'm not gonna wait.
That would suck.
My dad did that a couple of times, like where he'd buy it and then he'd play it before he'd give it to us. But
so that's why it was
at that point doesn't it just become a hand-me-down? A stealth hand-me-down. You have no idea.
Whatever, it works.
That's true. As long as it works, that's the important thing. Kid's not gonna know the difference. Slopdog also says, and hearing Crispy talk about playing Halo with his friend was doubly nostalgic. And lastly, he says, also, out of curiosity, I listened to podcast number 296, and honestly, it was really fun to listen to. Maybe I was prepared for the drunken chaos of it, but even then, aside from all the interrupting, you were all still passionate, and Mike even gets a little metaphysical at one point. Just made you guys seem more lovable.
That's not the booze. That's just Mike.
Yeah. Mike doesn't need booze to be metaphysical and interesting. Yeah. We just become chaotic and oh man. I'm glad people who have gone back and listened to it since last week's show seem to have. I think Shakutsky did it as well. Seem to have enjoyed it. I'm fairly certain I will never listen to that episode in full. But I'm glad some people still get some enjoyment out of it. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for your feedback. If there's anything you want to say or contribute after tonight's discussions, of course, 4playernetwork.com. Find the post for this episode, leave us a comment, and we'll read it next week. But now, we can go back to what I was saying before and talk about Iron Man VR, right? The demo for Iron Man VR, which dropped today.
Yes.
I downloaded it before I realized you need the fucking Move controllers, which sucks.
Yep.
Those things are expensive.
They're expensive because of PSVR.
Yeah, I got both of mine from Game Over Video Games, I think.
GameStop is selling one for $45.
That's insane.
Jesus.
That can't.
That's used.
Yeah, that's not right.
And Amazon, I found 2-packs that were going for $178.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Nonsense. Not happening. I'm interested to play Iron Man VR, but I'm not that interested.
Dude, Although they did announce, fucking let you borrow my Move controllers, Nick.
Beautiful.
Which mission? I mean, are you doing the actual mission here?
No, that's what I was saying. I meant to tell Chris Davis to skip a bit because the first part is just the tutorial section.
Oh, this takes a little while too. I don't know if we're going to talk that long.
Probably.
But you finished the demo?
Oh, yeah. It was only about maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So Iron Man VR. So I had heard some buzz about this. I think it was at like Comic-Con and stuff. And people were, and there's some articles written about this. Maybe the company line from the developer as well. It's like, no. This is like a real video game. It's going to be like not a 2-hour, because there's a lot of like experience games, that have like IP attached to them, like like Batman or Star Wars, or there's a lot of like Star Wars VR experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I think they were just not trying to say this is like a fucking Assassin's Creed game or anything. They're just trying to say like this is not one of those. We're trying to make like a video game here, and it's probably not going to be 30 hours long. Obviously, it's probably not even going to be 8 hours long, but even like a 5-hour, 6-hour, they might have actually said how long it's going to be, which I'm curious. Maybe we should look that up. But I think what they're getting at is it's not like a 1 hour, 90-minute, like, experience what it's like thing.
It's not like the Batman thing where it's like explore the Batcave and that's it.
This is
or like there was that one Spider-Man one a while back.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, right? This is supposedly not one of those. It's a video game with missions, and you can fly around freely. This is not like an on rails thing.
And this is from Republic, right? The guys that made
no. From Camouflage. They made Republic.
Yeah, sorry, the other way around.
Yeah. Camouflage.
It's been a long ass time since they made a video game.
It's been so long since I've even played my PlayStation VR. How did it feel? Because most of us recently have been playing games on PC VR.
Here's the thing. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but the last thing I played was Half-Life Alyx, and that's like the best looking VR game, right? Like
I think hands down, yeah,
pretty much. And it's on a PC VR, which is a lot more powerful than a PS4 and a PSVR. So like going from that to this is kind of shocking.
Yeah,
honestly, it's not.
It's not even just the graphics or the visual fidelity or anything. It's also just the move controllers compared to like actual VR controllers. It is the peripheral vision. Like you can see on like the sides, there's some kind of stuff off to the sides. You can't. Like the peripheral vision, at least for me, is not good enough where I can read that. And so I try and turn my head to look at it, but I can't fucking see it because as soon as you turn, like the head moves because it's supposed to be like a HUD. But I couldn't read the shit on the sides.
At the very end, you're holding Pepper Potts, and I was trying to look at her, and she was like,
Brett, and that's the thing that sucks about this footage is that I do the same thing at the end when you're holding Pepper because you rescue her from like falling or whatever.
Stay still, Pepper.
Yeah, she's like freaking out.
Sounds like you're talking to a dog. Stay still, Pepper. Stay still.
If we started this footage later, we might have gotten to see it. But
honestly, I think this game exists. And I think the reason impressions were good coming from like a demo at like a trade show or whatever is because I think this game relies on like one hook, and that's that your hands, your move controllers or whatever are your thrusters.
Yeah,
yes.
Right? You fly around like Iron Man.
Yeah, you fly around like Iron Man, right? And I think the rumble's also really good on the move controls. So like it feels pretty good when you're flying around. Now I'm kind of trying to imagine like, well, if Valve made this game, or like if you had these thrusters in like Half-Life Alyx, it'd probably feel a lot better, like in terms of fidelity. But I get what they're doing here, and I admire that, right? It's like you want to go forward, you're put those thrusters behind your back, right?
Yeah, you literally like when you see me flying, my hands are literally like behind my back, like facing away from me, palms away. And like,
does it ever feel like comfortable while you're playing?
Not really. I almost feel like I fucking want to put them back farther. I'm like, get some fucking thrust. Like, let's go. This game is kind of fun.
Yeah,
give me move controllers for my feet.
Dude, so that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, and that's kind of what. So first off, yes, Brad, I completely agree with you that this is not the best VR game in the world, but I think once again it is because we've become spoiled by PC VR games. I think honestly, looking back on previous VR games we've played on consoles, this is actually still a pretty solid game, and it's kind of also one of those scenarios where you have to like. Just because better technology has come out doesn't mean they can just stop making stuff for the PlayStation VR. They still want to support it. And I can imagine when the PS5 comes out that we might get a PSVR 2.0 or something like that, which might upscale this a bit, make it play a little bit better. But one of the frustrating things about this is what Nick said. You don't have move controllers for your feet. And so like Iron Man, he definitely propels himself with his feet, like the thrusters on his feet a lot, but you can't do that in this game. So you have to constantly be doing things with your hands.
Imagine planking on a table.
Jesus. So there's a point later on in like the next mission, the actual only mission in this. This is kind of like a training thing, and there's a mission where you're free, like Brad was saying, free flying around, fighting flying enemies, and it gets kind of difficult because I'm trying to like thrust with one hand and shoot with another, then shoot with both hands, and then thrust away again. It can get kind of like hectic when you're trying to like do a bunch at once. Where in reality, like, and I kept constantly going for analog sticks on my Move controllers. I kept constantly trying to find analog sticks to move, but
because the Rift controllers.
Yeah, exactly. But analog sticks aren't a thing on the Move controllers, so you can't do that. You have to, if you want to move, you have to point your hand in a direction and pull the thruster, and you'll go in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
It took me a while to kind of get my head around it, and it wasn't until maybe towards the end of the mission that I'm about to do in this footage.
I don't know if we're gonna get to that because there's a story sequence coming up, and that's.
Oh yeah, that is true. The first 2 or 3 minutes of the mission.
That leads me to a question, because this clearly looks like it's modeled after the MCU version of Iron Man.
I mean, as pretty much everything is gonna be for a while.
Sure. I mean, Tony's mansion looks just like the mansion from the movies. Yeah. I'm assuming it's not using the actors, right?
No.
Yeah, they got.
There's no way they have Robert Downey Jr. money.
The guy who voices this, his name is Joshua Keaton. I looked it up because I was kind of curious. He sounded familiar. He voiced young Hercules in the original Hercules movie from '97, and then he more recently voiced. There was one more. I can't remember, but he was Otacon in Metal Gear. Not Otacon, sorry. Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3.
So
yeah, he's done a few things. So, yeah, Josh Keaton. Yeah, he's done a few things. Also, curious enough, he was not born with the name Josh Keaton. He was born with the name Josh Wiener.
Okay.
So I understand why he changed his name. But
you did your research, man.
Dude, I was kind of curious. And honestly,
way to bring that up on the podcast.
It was because I had to take my car to the shop today. My inspection was due, and so Bernadette, I didn't want to hang out in a shop during these times. So Bernadette dropped me off or whatever, and while she was driving, I did that with my hand. The game didn't do that.
Okay,
I just thought it was funny if I left my hand in there, what would happen? And nothing happens. What's up?
There's story in this game, man.
Dude, there is. It's not the worst. It's kind of interesting.
Wait,
I mean, it tries to
be
Friday.
Wait,
it's Friday. It's a physical representation of the Friday, the voice in his head.
Gotcha. Okay.
Starts out not as Friday. Starts out as I can't remember her name. But yeah, the story is not horrible. I could see potentially it getting kind of good. Kind of interested in it. Yes, he definitely tries to. Tony Stark has always kind of been Robert Downey Jr., but Robert Downey Jr. definitely took it to another level when they did the Iron Man movies. And so they're definitely mimicking that, like his mannerisms and the things he says and stuff like that. But it's pretty interesting. Like this is him interacting with Pepper and blah, blah, blah on a plane.
The thing that you're doing with your hands is freaking me out.
Once again,
I was definitely jerking off in my footage.
It's me going back to a game, like Brad was saying, is Half-Life Alyx, and then anything else is the problem. And it's just one of those things. And Half-Life Alyx, I can move individual fingers, and I have so much fidelity and all this stuff. And in this, I can do...
You're spoiled.
And I can make my hands go in funky directions and go into themselves and stuff. And it's just because this is clearly not a... It's running on the PS4, compared to my PC with an Oculus Rift.
The PC I built before the one I have now was more powerful than a PS4. It's just old technology, man, and you could feel it. You could feel it.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready for PSVR 2.
This is the other thing I wanted to bring up, and once again, it's a limitation of the system. Is it's during these kind of cutscenes or whatever. So what happens is the plane gets blown out or whatever. It kind of fades to black and stuff like that. That was me waving at my suit. I was trying to get it. I was like, my suit.
He's doing. This is exactly how it went for me, pretty much. I was grabbing those things. I was trying to grab my suitcase.
Coming off of Half-Life Alyx, you can interact with anything, but in this, you can interact with nothing. But this is one of the things that sucked is there's a fade to white and a loading screen. I wish I could have just been sucked right out of the plane and into the sequence in which I'm going to interact with my suit. There was 2 loading screens for me to get here, and that's just a limitation of the technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but this is a cool next generation is just a few months away. Think about this: the next generation is just a few months away. You can easily get sucked without any loading screens at all pretty soon.
That's true. That's true. No loading screen suckage.
Okay,
but in this one, I did like this sequence, the whole like you falling and like the suit coming. But I wish it was a little more involved. I wish it was you almost like, was that Iron Man 2 or whatever, when he was having to like catch him and stuff? 3, yeah. I wish it was kind of like that. But it's just literally you can't really fuck it up. It's just like, hey, the suit's gonna fly at you and gonna get on you. But I tried to stop.
You tried to stop the helmet with your hand.
Come right to you.
You can't do anything. Yeah. I thought it would be kind of cool if it was almost like a mini game. You having to, while you're falling, having to like catch your like suit pieces. That would have been so fucking fun. But no, it's just, hey, the suit's gonna.
It's kind of a shame. Like, this looks like it has a lot of potential, and it's just, I mean, I hate to say it like this because, I know why
some VR snobbery.
No, I know why Sony would obviously want to snatch this up and make it an exclusive, but like, conceptually speaking, this feels like it would be so much better if it wasn't, held back. Technologically.
And yes, it is a smaller studio, a smaller team working on it with a limited budget, so it's understandable. The thing is, all of that aside, I'm gonna get this game.
Oh,
like
cool.
Hands down. Like, I'm gonna get this. It's gonna be fucking fun.
Thrusters down.
Yeah, thrusters, full max thrusters. It is pretty good. Like, this next sequence is kind of fun, where you're like having to keep up with the plane as it's going, and you're having to try and repair it and fight off fucking flying drones and shit. It's kind of cool.
And supposedly there's supposed to be like character RPG mechanics in there, like you can trade out various suit parts and things like that, and
that's kind of cool.
So what did the developer say?
Anyway.
Did anybody look that up?
I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything in regards to like confirmed to be not on rails. I found some stuff like that, but I haven't really found anything that talks about like the length of the game or anything like that. And I am kind of curious. Yeah,
I've heard something to the effect of like 10 to 15 hours.
I just found an article that said 10 to 12, so yeah, probably.
Wow.
Which, honestly, that's a pretty good length for a VR game. Like
Alex was about 15 hours.
Which, missions kind of feel like maybe they'd be kind of like Ace Combat missions or something, right? In terms
all of this footage you see, like me moving, that's me doing it. Like the game's not doing it. It's me flying around the plane and stuff like that. So it is kind of fucking cool.
Does it feel like does the scale of the plane in comparison to you feel
realistic?
I mean, not necessarily,
VR,
but like but VR is all, like one of the every time I play a VR game that stands out, it's usually because I feel small in comparison to like the environments that you're in and everything. And
I hate to break it to you, Nolan. I mean, Nick, but I feel quite tall when I play VR.
I knew I shouldn't have even bothered.
Nick, I would say in this regard, for a PS4 VR game, it feels good. It does. I do feel like I'm actually kind of in this environment. I do feel like interacting with the plane is kind of, I don't want to say realistic, but I mean like the scale feels real to me.
Sweet.
So yes, like looking at this, it kind of now that I'm seeing the footage like on a 2D screen, it doesn't look but like when you're like in the game and you're like flying up to the plane, it seems like it's life size. Obviously, this isn't like a 7. Actually, I think it is supposed to be a 737, so probably a little actual small for a 737.
No, this is not a 737. This is like
it says it. It says it. If you go back to the loading screen, it talks about how Tony Stark took a modified 737. Blah blah blah. So it is actually supposed to be. So maybe.
Are you trying to fly back into the hole?
Yeah, I kept trying, but it won't let you. But yeah, no, it does feel like there's a segment later where you have to kind of like.
Fools?
Pardon?
Were you doing the punch on these guys?
I don't do it early on, but later on I do start punching them. I probably should have been doing it more frequently. You have an ability where you can kind of charge up your fist and do like a punch, and you kind of fly forward a little bit. I do it on the later enemies, not these smaller ones, Brad. But there's a part where you have to kind of grab the wing and fix one of like the rudders or the fins is broken, and like at one point, the landing gear is trouble, so you have to fly up under it. And so all of that stuff does feel like to scale. Like, it does feel like I'm actually under a plane trying to like rip open the landing gear hatch.
It feels like something that you could get kind of good at. Like I felt kind of clumsy at this stuff at first, but by the end of the demo, I felt like I was zipping around and dodging.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't want to oversell it. I don't want to oversell it or anything, but I do think it is definitely like a step up from the sort of experiential shit you usually get playing VR.
Don't go out and buy a PSVR for this.
Correct.
Like if you don't own a PSVR, do not go out and buy one for this.
Or maybe
if
don't go buy
you've been waiting for an
excuse
to buy a PSVR because there's a bunch of games you want to play, maybe. If you have a PSVR and you have Move controllers, I 100% think you should pick this game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options. So.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like there's
I will say
plenty of
this.
games I can play. I have half a dozen games I can play that aren't even on the PlayStation. I'm just saying if you have this, it's worth like hooking up your PSVR again to play.
Today, along with the demo, they did announce a bundle pack. So when you buy the game, it'll come with the Move controllers. I'm not sure what the price is on that.
No. That there's no way that. I mean, I think the game itself is like $40, so it's not gonna be that cheap with Move controllers.
It's probably $130, I think.
Jesus,
I'll look it up.
Like this looks cool. I would love to play it. I might have to settle for just buying the game and then borrowing Nolan's Move controller.
Yeah, dude, borrow mine. Like, there's no point in you going out and buying some because you can just borrow mine.
Sweet.
Yeah, they do have a bundle. I don't see a price on it.
Maybe they didn't even include that
Hold
necessarily.
on, I can go to the PlayStation Store. Oh no, that's
do we know when this is launching? I mean,
July.
this was
July something, mid-July maybe.
This was pushed at the same
July
time
7th.
The Last of Us was.
Wait.
So yeah,
July 3rd. Sorry, just in time for 4th of July.
July 3rd. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm definitely interested. So we'll can't wait to hear what you think about it, Nolan. And then if you like it, I'll borrow them controllers and play it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have anything else you want to say about it before we move on?
I'm good.
I mean, it looks good. If Republic is any indication of their storytelling prowess, then it might be a pretty fun story.
Yeah, well,
I enjoyed the little bit of the story that we got in this demo.
Sweet. I will say this, just as far as like we talked about, kind of making the jump from PSVR to PC VR, and I keep thinking about it like, man, because like Brad said, like games like Half-Life, Alex have kind of spoiled us now. I'm off like Resident Evil 7 was like my obviously my game of the year that year, and I was raving about the VR, but I'm like, man, if I went back and played that now, like how would I feel about it, considering just they never ported that game, or they never ported the VR compatibility, I guess, to the PC, so you can't even play Resident Evil 7 with an Oculus. It's kind of a bummer. Just a quick aside. But yes, Brad, you've been playing a game that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, so all the talk about Assassin's Creed, like so Assassin's Creed Origins is one that I wanted to always go back to. I played like 8 hours of Odyssey, and I was like, oh, I like this, it's cool. But I kind of fell off of it. Origins was a game that it's like Odyssey, right? But the setting's better in my opinion. It's more unique, I feel like. Greece feels like a video game setting. Origins feels like a setting unique to that game.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always felt that the setting of Origins, Egypt, has kind of been like the top of my list of settings I've wanted in an Assassin's Creed game since the beginning.
You can get this really. I have footage. You can get this really cheap on Epic Game Store right now. They're doing
it's like $5 or something. It's pretty cheap.
The $10 coupon for is unlimited.
Really?
Oh, here's the thing. This was. I am interested in playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I knew you were gonna do this to me, Brad. I fucking knew you were gonna do this to me, Brad.
I was hoping you wouldn't know, but
I asked you in Discord today, and you ignored my question.
But here's the thing. I wanted people to see how cool this actually was, because not a lot of people realize how cool this mode is. This is Discovery mode, which is free if you own the game, and free if you don't own the game right now on Uplay. Actually, that may have ended like yesterday or something.
So to be clear, Brad's not playing Assassin's Creed Origins. He's playing the Discovery mode in Assassin's Creed Origins, which is cool.
Are you familiar with what Discovery mode is actually?
No.
Okay, so you have access to the full world of Assassin's Creed Origin, and they have one in Odyssey. They have one in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? And all over the world are virtual tours that you can go on, like fully voiced virtual tours, like written by historians that like literally like over the whole world. There's like all kinds of cool shit, and you're going in and out of all the places you would go to in Assassin's Creed Origins, but now you're like learning about them and stuff. And you can still fucking ride horses and shit. You can't kill people, but you can like fully explore these worlds and not have to do bad grindy combat, which, honestly, the worlds are like, the worlds themselves are honestly the best parts of these last couple of Assassin's Creed games. And it's cool that they put in the work. It not only shows that they put in the historical research, designing these games, but they turn that into something that can be educational or even just like really interesting to experience for someone. Like you can literally use these in schools, like even all like the Grecian art and stuff they
Even
have
with the killing.
They cover up like statues and stuff, private areas, so you could play these in a school.
No, Ubisoft has been specifically marketing this discovery mode to education facilities.
It's fucking impressive. So I was curious, like, how many tours are in there? So I went over to YouTube and just to see like a video of like, oh, all tours. Maybe someone made a video of just doing these fully voiced virtual tours. And Assassin's Creed Origins, the video was over 8 hours, and in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it was over 11 hours.
Wow.
Of these fully voiced virtual tours. And it's like, man, you can, like, this is a nice way to like experience these worlds without playing an Assassin's Creed game, if that's something you don't want to do. But honestly, playing this kind of made me want to play the actual game, even though,
That's so kind of you.
Well, I mean, like I said, I was already kind of interested, but learning a little bit about the history and the work that put into designing this world.
It is something I've always thought was really cool because I've known about it for a while. I've never tried it myself.
People have had no idea that this existed, and that's crazy to me.
I didn't know this existed.
They were giving them away for free on this earlier this week. I don't know if they're still free on Uplay. So I snagged both of them, both the one for Greece and for this one. Now I started up the Greece one, and that one you can straight up have like conversations with like the historical figures that are in the game, which I don't know if that's in this one, but like the Odyssey one starts up, you're having conversations with some historical figure, I don't know who is in the game, and it was like, oh wow, like they really put in some fucking work to this shit. And I thought that was really cool. You can fly around your birds still and just fast travel to any point you see. Like when you go to the menus, you can like sort it by like locations or tour types and really break it down, and anything you could just instantly fast travel to.
And are all these tours fully voiced?
Yeah, it's all, yeah.
I do want to say that on Ubisoft's website,
all these blue icons, they're all different tours.
It does say that Discovery Tour is free from May 14th to May 21st. But when I go to the website, it's not on there.
Oh,
like May 21st, like at fucking like what, UTC or some shit, because it's not on there now.
Well, if you buy the game, it comes free. And like I said,
well, I already own the game then, so should I have access to it?
You should have access.
Yeah.
To it. And I'm at Game Store right now. Again, that coupon is unlimited, the $10 off. So you can get Origins for $5, and that's the game plus this. And you can get Odyssey for $10. So.
And for those who are interested, the game itself is also pretty dope. But
well,
but
the game
I'm just saying. How dare you?
No, I was playing this with Malia watching, and she seems interested in why be watching me play the actual game as well now too.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool, one, because so you get the sense like when you're playing the actual game, you can tell they did the research. But like it's all presented. It's all presented like when when you're playing the actual game, the stuff that you would be reading about these historical landmarks and figures and stuff would be just presented in like written text. It's a little dry, a little more dry. So like the opportunity to like learn, like see all that stuff and learn about all that stuff, but also having it presented to you like you were watching something on the Discovery Channel.
It's not even
while
like
also
that.
playing
It's
a
like
game.
also being like while you're on like a tour, and so it's one of those things where if I'm reading something, I'm not looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at text and I'm kind of reading, and then I have to remember that text and go look at the thing. But if someone's explaining it to me or talking at me about it while I'm actually looking at it, like now turn your eyes up to the top left of this thing, that kind of thing, that's more enjoyable because you can get a little more involved as someone is kind of directing you where to look and the interesting things. I've been on a few kind of tours like that when I've been on like vacations abroad. Like when I went to Rome, we didn't just walk around the city. We paid someone to give us a tour to actually be able to explain a few things. Because I fucking learned a few things when I took like Latin, like in like some ancient Roman history classes and shit like that. But it's very different reading something in a textbook versus standing there and having someone fucking point something out to you. Like, you see that thing that's kind of shaped like a penis. It's because it fucking is a penis. That's how prostitutes used to direct you to where they were hanging out, and they would carve it in the side of the wall. And the way the dick was shaping, that's the way you went to find the prostitutes.
Wait,
but it's
is that true?
Yes. But like
All
seeing
right.
stuff like that and having someone explain it to you while you're there is kind of cool. It's a lot better than just like you like looking it up in a book and walking around.
Yeah. So, it's cool.
Cool.
I'm surprised they put in the effort and resources to make something like this, because this shit ain't free, but it is a free mode. It's really cool. I applaud it, and it makes me excited to see this same mode in Ragnarok, Valhalla, whatever the fuck it's called, whatever generic Viking word.
You mean the game where they were like just about a week ago? They were like, they're scaling back the size of the world and making it a little more accessible and less dense, or, that kind of thing. And now they're like, psych, it's actually bigger than Odyssey. Which, by the way, I've said this plenty of times on the podcast. The same thing applies to Odyssey. The size of that world is massive, but a ton of it is water, like open ocean.
Well, when they said they're scaling it back, what they meant was not putting in a lot of filler, like side filler that was kind of boring.
I hope so, but
dude, that was honestly why I put down Odyssey, was because there was just so much crap.
As someone,
and as someone who enjoys the old Assassin's Creed game and collecting the feathers and collecting the flags and all that shit, that's fun. But when there's thousands of things to do, I kind of just give up.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's way too much.
I'm obviously a big proponent. I love open world games. It's probably like my, if you want to call, if I had to be pegged for like my preferred genre. Get it out there, Nolan. Laugh it up.
You said it. You said it. Go get that cucumber.
No, cucumber's long gone, Nolan. No, if I had a favorite genre, it's probably open world adventure games. But like Odyssey kind of crossed the line as far as like being too much. That world was overwhelming. So I was really kind of excited to hear them talk about wanting to kind of address that issue in Valhalla, but apparently if they've managed to fill it with like all kinds of interesting stuff. The thing is about Odyssey and Origins, both of those worlds are large and incredible, and they have lots of really cool hidden shit in them that are worth seeing and finding.
Hey Nick,
but there is like 10 times more of the quote unquote filler stuff.
How quickly did you realize that this was not the main game?
No, dude, I
was Bayek, or was it my reaction?
No, I mean, when you put it on the dock this morning, and I looked at it, I went into Discord and I said, Brad,
no, I know.
Are you actually playing the game? And
I'm saying based on looking at the footage.
Oh, I knew.
Is it because there's no HUD?
No, I think it was because you said you had a look on your face.
Okay.
And you started to like smirk when you said something, and I was
so
like,
here
it comes. Here it comes.
This could just be Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? This is the main character.
I'm not looking at the footage anymore, but yeah, probably.
You mean Origins?
Yeah. When your footage started, you were playing as Bayek, which is the main character. Also,
and I tried to Cleopatra.
Bayek, one of the better Assassin's Creed characters.
People like him, and I hear the side quests are good. People are starting to call these like more like Witcher games than Assassin's Creed games, honestly.
I think that's fair.
Like really good side quests and stuff, right? So
like lots of really cool shit to find.
I still want to try it, but there is aspects of Odyssey's like combat and stuff and balance that really bother me. And the more I thought about Origins, the more I realized it's probably just like that in Origins, but probably even a little worse.
No, actually, I think depending on I think most people would say Odyssey is maybe a little bit leaning more towards the imbalance. And it's more egregious in those like Odyssey was the first time I honestly felt annoyed by just how often I was running into combat scenarios where I couldn't assassinate someone. I couldn't just run up behind someone and kill them because they were too high level. So you started to feel less and less like an assassin, and it just became more about just like wail on a dude with your sword until they die. And it's like, that's not.
I hope Ragnarok's good, but I feel like
Valhalla.
Whatever. Yeah, I feel like as these games progress, they're probably getting better in terms of like design, but the settings are becoming less and less interesting to me. Like I think this setting's more interesting than Greece, and I think Greece is more interesting than whatever the fuck Valhalla is going to be.
You think Greece is more interesting than the setting of Valhalla?
There's a lot of fucking history in Greece. What is the setting of Valhalla? And of course, there's a lot of history.
Scandinavia, England.
Scandinavia.
I mean,
you're saying Grecian history is not more.
I mean, I think Grecian history is just more. It's done more frequently. We've seen it.
It's been done way too much in Assassin's Creed.
I just think that exploring Vikings as people and seeing how a story told through
they ate corn. I mean, they ate fish. It's like I get it, but what are we? Am I going to be able to climb a fucking sphinx?
No, there's no sphinxes in Scandinavia, bro.
I know. What the fuck is there? Fjords?
I mean, yeah.
Long fucking houses, whatever they fucking call them. I'm just saying, it feels like there's not that much.
Well, Brad, you know what? They felt like they can make a game out of it, and they did. So hopefully, there's something in there.
Things are cool. I'm just saying the history doesn't seem as rich.
But like, all I'm saying is like Odyssey, like the coolest shit in Odyssey is when you like. I wasn't very excited about Grecian history going into Odyssey, and like in the setting of to me. That game got really interesting when they started to like really lean into like some of the weirder shit and start to like go into like mythological shit and like hide like the things that you can hide that they hid throughout the world, like finding these mythological creatures and how that ties into like the greater Assassin's Creed narrative, like
in history.
I know, but like just but the setting itself, like exploring Greece, didn't seem particularly interesting to me, but they did it in an interesting way. It sold me after a while. Like it didn't take very long, but like after a while, I was like, oh, I kind of see the appeal now. I didn't see the obvious appeal. Like when I saw Origins was going to take place in Egypt, I was very obviously like,
yeah,
that looks amazing. I didn't have that instant reaction when I saw Odyssey.
I don't know. Maybe we're living in a post God of War world,
Yeah,
and
it's true. It's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels dampened a little bit my excitement for Vikings because of stuff like that, and
maybe what's been helping me, because since they announced Valhalla, I started watching the show Vikings, and it's really good. It's really really good. It's like the Viking. I'm not gonna go into a pitch here on it, but like it's a really well done show, and it's like got great atmosphere, and it kind of gives you an idea of what's appealing about the world and the lore and all that shit. So
what is? Give me a
show. What?
Give me a summary
of the show Vikings?
Of the rich history or whatever and lore.
No, I'm telling you to go watch the show if you're looking for it. I'm not going to give you a pitch.
All right.
I'm just saying, if you're doubting if they could do something interesting in that setting with those characters, go watch a show like Vikings, and you'll kind of see what kind of stuff they can do. Because that show is very obviously an inspiration for the game that's coming out later this year. Anyways,
okay.
Enough about Assassin's Creed. Let's move on. I have a game I wanted to bring up. This is actually going to tie loosely into what we had for a news topic later, but I might as well just kind of get it all out there now. So this past week, they announced they were teasing it for a while. They were teasing the reveal of the Mafia trilogy, and they started teasing this last week at the beginning of the Summer Game Fest. And everybody was just kind of expecting, they're remastering.
I feel like I listened to the podcast like yesterday or 2 days ago, and
it was a tease.
There was news.
No, I'm talking about like a week and a half ago, like before last week's show. They started teasing this, the Mafia trilogy.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of under the assumption that it was going to be like just the 3 games remastered and you could buy them together, whatever. And then it became very clear that
remake,
yeah. I'm getting there, Brad. You're stealing my thunder.
Gotcha.
It became very clear very quickly that the first game, the original Mafia, is being full-blown remake. from Hangar 13, the studio that did Mafia 3. And this is where it gets kind of confusing. So they teased the announcement of the trilogy. The screenshots for the first Mafia dropped. Everyone was like, holy shit, that looks beautiful. That's a full-blown remake. And then we got the full reveal this past week where they basically said the trilogy's coming in August with the remake of Mafia 1. But if you pre-ordered or if you buy the trilogy today, you get Mafia 2 remastered, or the definitive edition, and Mafia 3 definitive edition today. And then the remake will be coming out in August. And the only reason I feel like that's confusing, it's a weird way to release something, especially when it's consecutive games.
Something, I feel
like they're consecutive games. They don't necessarily tie into each other, as I understand, in any significant way, besides a few cameos from one game to the next from the protagonist of the previous game. So essentially,
it really dampens the concept of trilogy release, though.
Yeah, you're basically if you're excited about it.
Here's a couple of downloads. You know what it sounds like? All this was supposed to be was a remake of the first game. And that's what they probably spent the past couple of years making.
Oh yeah, it's very clear that the remake of the first
someone
game.
in the boardroom was like, "Dude, let those other games. They're like worth nothing now. You could probably buy them for like, few bucks here and there, right, on a sale. Let's just bundle them in together. Call it a fucking trilogy. People will be more willing to spend the $60.
You don't need to whisper.
I'm not whispering.
Yeah, you're getting a little quiet.
Yeah. So, I feel like this was a executive boardroom decision, and then they bungled it up anyways. And
it's strange. I will say this:
anything, it's probably gonna maybe kill some excitement for the remake of the first game.
As someone who I bought the trilogy, I'm excited for the remake, and I've wanted to play Mafia 2, and I've played it.
I thought you played it before.
No. I realized this week when I was playing it, I was like, I think I played a demo for it on the Xbox 360 back in the day. Because what I played of Mafia 2 definitely was not the very beginning of the game. I had never seen that before. So I'm pretty sure I played whatever they released as a demo way back.
I never played it either, because I feel like the consensus about this game was that, people have fond memories of that original Mafia. It was like the first open world post GTA 3 game. First one of those.
I think it came out like within a couple months of the release of GTA 3. Even I could be wrong.
Maybe not that soon, but yeah, maybe. But it eventually got an Xbox port, but it was the PC game, and PC gamers really liked it because it was, they didn't get GTA 3 right at launch, right, on PC. So it was like, hey man, we got one, it's cool, and you have to stop at traffic lights and stuff. But by the time this one came out, people had fond memories, right? But I feel like the consensus was, there's not a lot to do out in the world, anything to do. But
you're stealing my thunder again.
Oh.
So I'm playing the game right now for the first time. I'm about 6 hours or so into it. I'm on I think I'm about to start chapter 7 of the game. And I was streaming it the other night on the day that they announced it. And I've always had kind of an understanding of what this game is in comparison to something like Grand Theft Auto. I knew not to expect Grand Theft Auto's level of like interaction and the kinds of things you can do, the side missions, all that stuff. As GTA.
More of an LA Noir.
It is more of an LA Noir, I guess. But I think it was Zerby in chat, and the way he said it, I think, kind of struck a chord with me. And it kind of made me settle into this game better than I was expecting. Because I don't think this is really shouldn't necessarily be looked at as like an open world game, as much as it's like just a really detailed backdrop for a very linear story.
Why didn't you pick that up?
What?
Why didn't you pick that up?
Pick what up?
Is that a nudie mag on the ground?
Oh, I did.
Oh.
I mean, I do. Are we already at the end of the footage?
Yes.
I haven't at the end of my footage.
You told me to cut out 1.5 minutes of 10 minutes of footage.
Oh, Jesus. I was trying not to open nudie mags on the stream. I mean, to record footage. You never know if it's going to be one with boobies or if it's
tournament legal.
There's magazines with boobies in it?
You collect Playboys.
Oh,
like actual Playboy pinup.
Tournament legal.
I know. I was trying to be
Wait, what do you mean tournament legal?
You can stream it. You can you can look at them on Twitch. Yeah. Actual women.
Huh.
I streamed it the other night and I picked up a couple Playboys. There were some boobies on stream. They're very tasteful. But anyways, this is not so much an open world game as it's like a really detailed backdrop for what is essentially a very linear story. The way the story in Mafia unfolds, at least in Mafia 2 unfolds, is it's very, it's chapter based. It's always telling you what's kind of what to do next and how the story is unfolding and taking you from one place to the next. And a lot of it is very similar to GTA in that you stay in your friend Joe's apartment, and then you leave the apartment and you get into a car and you drive to the marker on the map will tell you where to go, and you go there, it triggers a cutscene, and then a story mission plays out, right? But it very rarely gives you signals like now is a good time to go do things to go do optional things, because those things don't really exist in this world. But it's an open world. You can go anywhere. But it exists.
So it's LA Noir.
Yeah, and so that's I guess that's the best comparison. And Brad had mentioned that earlier, that it is a big open world with nothing to do except the main story. Is that
correct? But why I think it works in Mafia, at least in Mafia 2, is that the entire time you're in a car driving from point A to point B, the amount of detail they've kind of packed into the world. I'm kind of shocked constantly, considering this game came out in 2010. I'm kind of shocked at how much detail's in the world in terms of this world feels more alive and more lived in than a lot of open world games that come out today. The stuff that the NPCs are constantly doing, unique things that they're saying and animations that are playing out.
This is like a remaster or a remake? Or?
This is a remaster. Mafia 2 Definitive is just
So it's a remaster. Was all of that content in the original?
It was. It just looks a little bit cleaner now, which is why I'm kind of shocked, because people are I'm trying to think, you'll run into people on the street just having weird random and interactions.
You got the Nolan North talking to Nolan North clip from this game.
I did.
Not you specifically.
Oh, where the two NPCs are talking to each other.
Yeah, the two NPCs are talking to each other, and they're both Nolan North.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you never seen it?
I think I have actually, but I mean, it's just the amount, at the very beginning of the game, the main character comes home from the war, and you get into a car, and it's very much you're not even driving the car, your friend's driving you around town, and it's just the weather effect, the snow is falling, the Christmas music is playing on the radio, you're seeing all these NPCs have these very unique animations kind of play out in front of me. It's almost like you're driving through an open world, but instead of seeing the same animations happen over and over and over again from different various NPCs, you feel like all these different unique things are happening. And the next time you go on a mission, you're going to see all kinds of new animations and interactions playing out. And I feel like that's really unique. So it ends up feeling like I never leave a mission and say, okay, I'm going to go do a side mission for this other guy, because it never really gives me, at least not yet, it hasn't really given me a point where it's okay, go do a mission for this guy if you want to. It's always just kind of okay, you did that thing, go back to your apartment and sleep when because it's time to go on to the next chapter. But the world just feels super alive and lived in, and it just made me feel like they were never really going for GTA with this game. I think maybe they did more so in Mafia 3, because they definitely started to pump that world full of what you would probably call I don't know, open world fluff. You're doing all these repetitive side missions. This is literally just a backdrop. And it's a really detailed, well done backdrop. And I'm honestly constantly.
But I feel like details are what Rockstar is good at as well.
I mean, you're right. You're right. I just think this game gets it might get a lot of flack because people are expecting the kind of game that Grand Theft Auto is. And I really don't think it is. I think this game could have just been a linear third-person shooter. But they opted to get it's the world itself is not even very big. When you first start the game, you open up the map, I was oh, that's not particularly large, but it's just big enough to tell the story they want to tell. And they just want to make they just want to chew the scenery between missions, and they do that particularly well. There are a few things that about this game that kind of keep it from being maybe a great like what you would consider to be great, like a Rockstar game. It has a lot of the rough edges and stuff. One thing that really fucking annoys me is when you pull out a gun and you like hold left trigger to like aim the gun. When you let go of the trigger, he doesn't put the gun back down. It stays up. So he runs he runs around the world looking all goofy, holding his gun. It drives me crazy. But like just shit like that is really annoying. But the amount of like physics and details and stuff kind of what makes this game shine. So, and like the story is really well done, the characters are really well done. I don't know if it's going to go in any place like especially unique for this kind of story, but I'm definitely liking the characters so far.
It's the main reason I've never played a Mafia game. Well, I did play a little bit of Mafia 3, but it's that like it's you know how we were kind of making fun of the idea of a Brothers in Arms movie because it's going to be a World War II story that feels so unique. But I feel like if you've seen a couple, you've seen them all, right? And here it's like I've seen the mafioso story so many times that it's like even if this game does a good job of telling a good story, like I've also seen The Godfather and The Sopranos, and I've seen a good story, and it's probably not as good as those. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
You're right. I mean, I will say this, because a lot of people, it came up a lot in Discord when people were talking about it, because Discord kind of turned into like a Mafia channel for a while this week. I was kind of surprised how excited people got when this was announced and how people were enthused about it.
The first one is beloved.
And that's why I'm really excited because if they can release that game and make it feel modern and beautiful and exciting, I can't wait to play it.
2002.
This was
that game,
the original.
Yeah,
something
or
like
maybe
that.
even 2001. So like, no, 2002, I think. So like, it's gonna feel maybe 2003. It's gonna feel old.
2002.
Well, do you think it's going to feel old? Because it looks like a straight up from the ground up remake.
August 27th, 2002.
Yeah, but like visuals are only going to take you so far. Something that
no, but I'm saying like
even going back to Grand Theft Auto 3 is hard.
I know, but what I'm saying is I don't think this is just going to be the same game with just new character models. Like this looks like they took the same game and rebuilt it from the ground up. Like that does not look like a fresh coat of paint. That looks like a completely different game. When you look at the screenshots.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's going to be like...
It's hard to tell because I was expecting a full-blown trailer on the day that this announcement was made.
Wait, Brad, you said Mafia was beloved?
Yeah.
Because I'm reading here that Maxim Magazine gave it a 4 out of 10.
Okay. The PC version? The Xbox version didn't.
No, they actually didn't review the PC. They just reviewed PS2 and Xbox.
Yeah, those are not the versions to play of the original Mafia. But, whatever. Fuck Maxim.
Also, maybe not the best publication. Don't take their word for it. I don't know.
Well, whatever. That's a published writer. How many magazines have you been in, Nick?
Oh,
you're a punk ass. You're right. I'm just saying, not necessarily known for video games, but whatever. Neither here nor there. I don't know. I'm really enjoying my time with Mafia 2 so far. It's not like blowing my socks off in terms of like mechanically speaking, but I'm constantly surprised by just how much I'm like getting sucked into the world. Like it's an impressive world, and I think people gave LA Noire a lot of shit for the same stuff when that was really just trying to like have once again kind of be served more of a cool backdrop for a story as opposed to being an actual open world where you have a ton of stuff to do and interact in. Unfortunately, that game kind of fell apart because a lot of the core mechanics of it also ended up being kind of borked. If the mechanics of LA Noire worked way better than they actually ended up than they did, I think that game probably would have been beloved. Like
it also would have been better
because the world itself was cool.
Yeah, it would have been also been a lot better if the story actually didn't just go to shit halfway through in LA Noire.
True. The homicide after the homicide chapter in LA Noire, it all gets really fucking weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Still a game I would like to revisit though someday.
Do it in VR. I hear the VR is like cool.
Do that.
Is that a separate product, or can you like if I have LA Noire on PC? Can I play
I think it's separate.
It's no, it's not a separate product. It counts as DLC from what I understand.
Oh, really?
I'll have to check it out because I got LA Noire for free when I bought Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. I wonder if I got the VR content as well.
Yeah,
and unlike Half-Life Alyx,
oh shit, I did the
full
same.
control of your arms.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the full game playable in VR. It's select cases.
They're like cases, yeah.
Yeah.
specific cases.
And cases that you already played in the game, I think.
Is that true?
I think so.
Interesting. But yeah, so that's really all I have to say about Mafia 2. It's pretty cool. People in chat seem to be enjoying their time with it again. And I am planning on playing Mafia 3 as well. I actually played like a good chunk of that back in the day when it first released, and I got distracted, never went back to it. But I was really enjoying my time with that. But that is definitely more of a more modern, open world game, and it has all the baggage that kind of comes with it. But that game, if you want to talk about like a mob type story that tells it from a unique perspective and does something kind of different with it, Mafia 3 definitely does that. And it also does some cool stuff mechanically too. That's pretty crazy. But I'll talk about that if I get around to playing it soon. I think that's it for impressions this week. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we have a little bit of news to go over. We'll answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch, as always. And we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. There's some news to go over. Not much, but some stuff worth mentioning for sure. We've already talked enough about the Mafia trilogy, so we can skip that one, Chris Davis. What do you want to talk about first? I know you had an order in mind.
Well, I guess we were going to go with the really big one, which was Silent Hill.
Okay, well so the Silent Hill stuff, this is actually more of a rumor at this point, obviously. This is actually, as Brad specified before the show, it's more of how did you put it, Brad? It's
reaffirmation of the project, yeah.
Yeah, reaffirmation of
the rumor.
This rumored Silent Hill project, and
it's the guy going basically like, no, I'm serious, and let me lay it all out for you.
Yeah, so the rumor is from Dusk Golem, who I believe has made a name for himself already by kind of leaking certain things that eventually proved to be true, or I think wasn't he also behind the Resident Evil 8 stuff that started to come out, which we pretty much at this point know it's not confirmed 100% by Capcom, obviously, but a lot of those details that we kind of know about the Resident Evil 8 project that are almost certainly true at this point, I think came from him. But yeah, so this week he came out with, he's like, I want to reaffirm a few things about this project, and he even went into great detail as far as his sources and why he thinks these are valid. Should I just read through them?
Yes.
Quickly. Okay. So he says, just to clear some things up about Silent Hill PS5 from what I know. 100%. In 2018, Konami shopped around with different studios for 2 pitches to fund development of a reboot and an episodic Silent Hill game. I know this from a personal friend and an email from someone separately. Neither got the job, but I know this is a fact. In late 2019, a separate close friend in Japan informed me a Silent Hill game was being developed that had started development at the start of 2019. I started doing some personal investigation from this. A lot of dead ends, but others I think he meant to say corroborated this. And I did learn about something else which helped later, but promised not to talk about. I separate this part of the story as all of that is stuff I can 100% verify. The rest I believe and have been shown solid evidence, but the following I have evidence to, but I can't verify the details. Sorry, but it was from someone who would know, and I
can't verify the details.
Yeah, so the following that I'm about to read here in a second are details that he can't verify, but they are from someone who would know and has verified their identity and their connections. So to lay out those details, they are it's in development by Sony Japan Studios and will be a PS5 exclusive. Toyama is directing, and he's the director from, I believe, the original Silent Hill, right?
And the Siren series.
So yeah.
And Gravity Rush.
I always forget about that. Which, by the way, that's a great game. I hope more people play. Akira Yamaoka is composing. Masahiro Ito is doing art. And that's the renowned horror artist that a lot of people recognize. You would probably recognize his art if you saw it. Various Siren/Gravity Rush developers and some others are working on it. This has nothing to do with Kojima or Silent Hills. That probably is not happening. Sony is not buying IPs. That's bullshit. Because there was a lot of rumors floating around about Sony buying a bunch of stuff up from Konami. The game is not a remake. It is a soft reboot made so that it can be someone's first Silent Hill game. It is playable already and has a demo that will be shown around after the reveal. And the details of this are not murky. There should be no miscommunication. Just to lay it all out, if at all true, I believe it is though. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. He sounds very confident about this. And I know we're supposed to be getting our... Sony is probably going to be doing their PS5 reveal in June. And I think there's a lot of talk going around now about them also revealing a lot of their lineup. So I don't know if there's any connection here or if there's any chance we would see the Silent Hill game at that reveal. But I gotta imagine Sony probably wants to come out the gate swinging with the PS5.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's something they wanted to kind of use as, Xbox had such a pitiful show of bleh that
games,
the PS5 would want to kind of turn out with a fucking bang that gets people excited and I'm going PS5 over Xbox Series X.
And the timeline here is pretty on par. Because Gravity Rush 2 came out in early 2017. Mm-hmm. 3.5 years later, that's plenty of time to develop a new title.
Yeah, for sure. Even if for people who are not necessarily Silent Hill fans or have not been Silent Hill fans for the longest time, the name Silent Hills because of PT probably still rings very familiar to a lot of people. That demo, that game that came out for the PS5 was, huge success, or huge, however you want to quantify that, I guess, considering what happened. But
it was
Silent Hills is a
video game phenomenon. It was a cultural phenomenon in the video games industry at the time.
Exactly, and then people associate it to the name Silent Hill now. So if Sony came out the gate with a exclusive Silent Hill game from the director of the original game, and all these things sound very feasible. And I did kind of like that he came out the gate and was like, don't get your hopes up about the Kojima thing, the Silent Hills coming back thing. I think that's probably not happening, there's a lot of rumblings about that. I didn't want to get my hopes up because the chances of that happening, I think, are slim to none. This just kind of affirms that. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I hope we find out more about it soon, because obviously Silent Hill is a series that I love dearly, and I would hate to see it die out completely. But it makes me wonder, what Konami's actual how dedicated are they to making games again? Does this mean they're interested in working on Metal Gear and Castlevania and stuff again?
Just as long as they don't have to develop it internally, they're fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing. If they don't want to develop,
so who's going to develop the next Suikoden game?
I mean, that's dead. You got to move on.
Probably, but I mean, there's probably plenty of famed RPG developers or studios who would love to get their hands on that. And if they could farm out their IP to other developers to make it, who the fuck knows? Anything could happen, Brad. Dreams can come true.
That developer doesn't exist. No one's making JRPGs anymore except Square Enix, and they're either spending too much money or not enough money.
Facts.
With RPG, their RPG factory of low, but what is it called? The
RPG
Tokyo
factory?
RPG factory of budget
what if
games no one cares about?
What if the Tokyo RPG factory made?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's not I don't know.
It could be much worse though.
Not much though. Anyways,
Mercury Sturm.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, so that's the big Silent Hill news. The other thing that happened this week is related to System Shock 3.
Oh my god! I hope it's Silent Hill by Mercury Steam. Oh man!
Shut up, Brad. You know what? I'll play it though. If that happens, I'll fucking
sorry
play.
sack of shit.
But didn't you play both those Castlevania games because you're a sorry sack of shit
I didn't
for Castlevania?
I didn't play the second one.
I thought you at least tried it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was bad.
It was terrible. I remember it was very bad. Anyways, System Shock, which was in the news a few weeks ago because it seemed like that project was falling apart. they didn't have funding, I guess. All kinds of rumors swirling about the state of that project. And then it sounded like everybody at that studio, the studio that was working on it, was laid off. So the future of there was no official cancellation of System Shock 3, but everybody kind of assumed it was coming. So this week, Tencent, the publisher, I guess, they're technically a publisher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tencent has, and they're the huge company that's kind of picking up everything that they can get their hands on. They're based in China, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
They own League of Riot, right? League of Legends. They're the ones that own most of Epic.
They funded Pacific Rim 2, for example.
Yeah, they're not just a video game.
No,
publisher.
yeah, they're not limited to just video
enormous
games.
corporation.
They're just a corporation that is getting their hands on as much popular, media that they can, whether it's movies, games, whatever. So they have stepped in and have actually picked up the System Shock franchise and are going to be the company that's responsible for moving it forward, which it sounds like that means System Shock 3 is probably now being financed, so that game can probably get, the gears on that can start turning again. And I'm assuming that's also probably good news for the System Shock 1 remake as well.
I don't think that's related to this.
You don't? I mean, but it sounded to me like they were owning the IP, which means they kind of would have to have their hand in that, right?
Yeah.
Or were they specifically funding System Shock 3? I thought it was my understanding they were.
But you understand, like ownership of stuff like that's really complicated, and I would not be surprised if two different companies can own parts of the same IP. I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah,
you're right. I guess when you get right down to it, this is mostly good news for the System Shock 3 project, because that was basically all but canceled in the past few weeks. So I don't know what this means for System Shock going forward.
If you had much faith in that project, which I didn't, so we'll see.
We have a demo for the System Shock remake, right? They haven't released any playable demo for System Shock 3, right?
Correct.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I guess so. The news is basically right now is that project, which was basically on its last leg, is now up and running again. So we'll see what comes of that. I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. But that's it. That's it for news.
It'll be nice to think about that. We'll be living in a world where we'll have System Shock 1, System Shock 3, and then BioShock 4.
And then System Shock 2, which was, I think, the beloved, System Shock 2 is the one that everybody kind of look back on and fondly and loves, right? That's just going to be left.
And the first one to some extent.
Do you think Night Dive's going to pick, if this System Shock 1 remake is successful, do you think they're going to go back and do the same thing to 2? I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer, and that's what Night Dive kind of does nowadays, right? Remake and remaster old projects.
A remaster of, remasters, versions of System Shock 2 have existed for modern hardware. I don't know if they call it a remaster, but
well, I'm saying they're remaking System Shock 1.
Do you need to fully remake System Shock 2? I don't know.
Did you need to fully remake System Shock 1?
Well, those are pretty different games.
I'm speaking as someone who only has experience with System Shock 2. So I don't really know much of anything about the first one.
The first one's much older. I mean,
it needed this coat of paint way more.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll be interested to see. We'll probably hear more about it soon. So we'll see what comes of that. That's it for news this week. So we are ready to do questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. I want to take this opportunity to remind people. So we are going to be accepting questions in the future a little bit differently than we've done in the past.
System Shock 1 came out in 1994.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's we were playing Super Nintendos back then. It's old.
Yeah. System Shock 2 was 99.
So anyways, questions. If you're a supporter on Patreon or Twitch and you want to submit a question, we used to make a post on Patreon every single week where we collect comments and whatnot. What that really ultimately leads to is just fuck tons of posts on our Patreon feed that are absolutely useless after we record the show. So instead, we've made a new post. I've pinned it to the top of our Patreon feed. And in that post is a link to a forum where you can go and you can submit your questions. I've also pinned that exact same forum in the supporters channel in Discord. So if you're a Twitch subscriber, you can access it there. But the point is, we'll be collecting them to these forums. That allows us to also keep tabs of when questions were submitted a lot easier and things like that. So if you want to submit questions going forward, you can do it anytime. I'll be updating that post every week, a day or two before the show, just to remind people that they can submit questions. But you can go there and access it anytime, and that will count towards, we'll be able to read it on a future show. We're still going to probably only answer a handful of questions per show for the sake of time. But if we don't get to your question this week, that doesn't mean we won't get to it. We'll get to it on a future show. So keep that in mind. But Nolan, would you like to take it away?
Sure.
Got some questions for us?
Yeah, I do. Am I reading their location name?
Yeah, if they include it, feel free to read it.
Okay.
I always like to know where people are from. It's exciting.
All right. So first question this week from Fractures.
Yeah, sounds.
I guess right. Yeah. I guess Fractures with a K. Yeah.
Remember that game Fracture?
I do.
No.
Hey guys, I was wondering that if digital versions of tabletop board games aren't ideal to play, or I guess ideal way to play, rather than physical versions of the board games. The reason being is that you don't have to come across any human errors that could potentially break the game's rules altogether, outside of the fact of avoiding the pandemic. So essentially, he's just asking, there are, tabletop simulators, stuff like that. Is that a ideal way to play a game?
This is
yes
one of those
and no.
questions.
Yeah,
I feel like it'd be great to have
pieces.
I feel like Crispy's been experimenting with that a lot lately because of the situation and the fact that he plays D&D and stuff a lot. So he's not here, obviously, so he can't answer it.
I would think D&D's a little bit different than other tabletop games. So I guess, first off, it does depend on the tabletop game you're talking about. Are you talking about like a tabletop like RPG, Dungeons and Dragons kind of type monster?
Dungeons and Dragons?
Dragons, yeah. I had like a burp coming out at the same time. Or are you talking about like an actual like board game, like he said, he mentioned like Pandemic, or like Betrayal at House on the Hill, fucking Sorry, shit like that. I would say Dungeons and Dragons is kind of made for that style. I think it's fairly easy to do.
Anything with dice rolls is probably.
There is, so you said, about breaking the rules. Thing is, the nice thing about playing with a bunch of people in a circle is you can always have house rules, so you can change shit up. Like, fuck the game saying it's going to be done this way, we're doing it this way. But if the game's rules are set in stone, you just got to play with how the game says you play, which kind of sucks. But like Brad said, there's no chance of like losing pieces or tiles getting warped or some shit like that. Yeah. That one card that has like a scratch on the back that kind of gives it away, or stuff like that. So I think they're both viable options. I think as technology gets better, obviously now we can have a fucking Discord channel going and like a game of tabletop going on at the same time. So I think they're both viable. I don't think it's necessarily the best way to do it, though.
Yeah. Given the current world situation, it's probably ideal right now. But once things go back to normal, who knows? But yeah, this is also one of those questions that'd be nice to hear Crispy's input on. So maybe we'll bring that up again on a future show when we have him on, because I'm sure he's probably experimented with several different ones. What's the next question?
Next one from Thorax from LA, which this is kind of a silly question in my opinion, but anyway. Which of the following was more disappointing? Going from Uncharted 2 to 3, or going from Resident Evil 2 remake to Resident Evil 3 remake?
The second one. The second one.
Easily the second one, because I don't think I was necessarily disappointed with going from Uncharted 2 to 3. Those games are both kind of incredible from like a storytelling standpoint, and like one is not significantly shorter than the other. They both have incredible set pieces. The gameplay itself is basically the same.
This is a very loaded question in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's probably targeted,
especially coming at us, because I think it's been noted over the past like 6 years that we all here agree that Uncharted 3 is a good game.
Oh yeah,
it is not the best game in the series, but it's a fucking good game.
Yeah,
it's also not incredibly forgettable.
The only problem with Uncharted 3 was some of the controls for the combat. That was it. Like, the rest of the game was solid.
I don't even remember that being a problem.
It was fine. They patched that very quickly.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, we very recently talked about Resident Evil 3, and while I personally would never go out and say that I think it's a bad game. I think it is definitely it is an obviously inferior game, and one that had a lot of chances to like capitalize on cool shit. You know what I mean? And just didn't.
That's fair.
It's a missed opportunity.
I've been thinking about a lot of our end of the year award categories.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if this game's going to come up for me at all for anything.
What about biggest disappointment?
Oh yeah, maybe you're right. You're right. We do have an award for that, huh?
We do.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Next question from Fuzzy Turd, who is from the Woodlands, Texas.
Oh yeah,
that's
where my friend. That's where my friend Charles moved.
Of course,
motherfucker.
Tell us about Charles.
You know, one of my childhood friends who moved away. Fucking Charles.
I always felt like he was in charge.
Did you ever call him
God damn
Chuck? Chuck.
That was a bit of a deep cut there, Nolan.
Yep. All right. Fuzzy Turd asks, what is a game that everyone loves but you simply cannot understand why? Personally, I cannot fucking stand Borderlands. I love its humor and the guns are cool, but the gameplay is so boring and repetitive. There was absolutely nothing in terms of narrative driving me forward. It's just go here, shoot some people, repeat. Doom was kind of like that too, but they did a better job at keeping my interest somehow.
I actually don't understand. Like, I could think of a game series that everyone loves, and I don't, but I feel like I know why everyone loves it. Actually not understand why people love it, that's a different question.
That's right? A lot harder, yeah.
For me, no, never mind. I agree with Brad on that. I as soon as I said it, I was like, well, I can understand why they love it.
Like the Persona series is like that for me. I don't love it, but I totally get it.
Wait,
I was gonna say like MOBAs. Like I hate MOBAs, but I understand.
I mean, you're right. Actually, you're right. You're right. No, I mean, and honestly, this is probably coming from a place of ignorance.
I was gonna say multiplayer games.
No, I was gonna say like God. I mean, you said MOBAs. There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah.
But like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But they're huge. Like, it's one of those things I don't understand because of how popular. Like, honestly, Fortnite. I mean, and I'll be honest.
You gotta play one. Think of games you've played and don't understand why people love them. Otherwise, it's like, of course you don't understand it. You've never experienced it. You know what I mean?
I could, if you want to. We talked about Brothers in Arms
also,
earlier, and I'm not saying Brothers in Arms.
You played Fortnite at E3 and you wanted to give it an award.
I know, but I played it when I played.
That was a completely different game.
Yeah,
I played the single player portion of that game.
I know, but there are aspects of that still exist in Fortnite, and those are things that people love.
I know, but I've like watched so many people play Fortnite, and just been like, why? I'm not even to say that's not even to say I wouldn't be able to like find fun in it.
Whatever. Again, I think that's against the spirit of the question. To some extent.
Did just tell me to think of a game I've played, and then you said I've played Fortnite, so that is
okay.
Valid.
But you know what? Your thing is multiplayer, kind of.
No. I get multiplayer games. I totally understand. Like, I get why people are obsessed with things like Call of Duty. I get why people were into things like PUBG. Fortnite kind of boggles my mind.
Oh well, it's a battle royale game.
I know.
I understand where Nick's coming from in that regard to an extent. In that, well, yes, it is a battle royale. I don't like the whole twitchy build shit, like real quick, temporary kind of like. I just never really understood that aspect of it.
I'll give you a perfect answer. I don't understand half of the simulator games that are out there, like Euro Truck, like farming, like I don't get it. It's just.
That's a good answer.
What was the new one that just came out? Snow something? Snow Plow or
Snow Runner or something like that.
Snow Runner, there you go.
Yeah.
Gamerbeck mentions a good one, Dynasty Warriors games. I've played those before. I don't fucking get it. And the fact that so many of them exist and they all look the same, I don't understand it.
But it's not like a universally loved thing. It's like a niche loved thing.
There's things to Dynasty Warriors that are kind of interesting.
All right, let's move on.
Wait, no, you can go. I kept forgetting what I was going to say. The one that I was going to think is like most relevant, or that as maybe an actual answer, is Brothers in Arms, which is a game that I have played. I played for 6 hours, and I'm not saying it's a bad game. But I can't understand someone loving it the way like Chris Davis loves it.
Okay.
What do you want me to say? You've like shot down every answer I've given.
No.
Tell me what you want me to say.
Play the first fucking game.
What?
And actually remember what's going on.
All right, moving on.
Well, my answer was the Dragon Quest series. I've tried a lot of those, and it's a beloved RPG series, but man,
I can agree with you on that.
Ever had them really click with me.
The only Dragon Quest game I've played any amount of is Builders 2. Every other Dragon Quest game I've played...
You played a fair amount of 11.
I guess that is true. Those two are the only ones. Like 8, I couldn't really get into. I've tried some of the older ones, like, was it 3? Dragon Quest 3, was that one of the bigger ones?
There was remakes on the DS.
Yeah, on the DS. Yeah, I tried. And I never really could get into them. I don't know. Moving on. Zero Skies asks, for your choice of topic, what is your secret technique for better results? So anything you choose, secret technique for better results.
Wait, what?
Just choose something. Anything.
If there's like if you were
like a life hack.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh. That's hard. Like
that's what she said. So for me, something that kind of comes up is maybe like cooking or something like that. And a frustration for me is when people overcook eggs, just kind of burn them. And so I'm gonna say when you're cooking eggs, first off, throw a little bit of butter in there with the eggs, like maybe like at least a tablespoon per every 3 eggs at least.
Can you do margarine?
Constantly no, you can't do margarine, Brad.
Are you a monster?
And then just constantly stir it with like a spatula. Just constantly stir it until the curds eventually come together, and please take it out before it's fucking... If there's any brown in there, no, it's gross. Like, throw it away. You gotta take it out before...
Eggs.
What's up, Chris David?
That's if you're going to do scrambled eggs, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, if you're just doing like scrambled. Omelets and stuff are a little more complicated.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something simple that people can do. Come hang out with me. I'll make you some eggs.
Life hack.
I feel like I don't really have any life hacks. I'm just terrible at life.
Technique. Life hacks.
I've got this sex move, you see.
Good question.
Yeah, it's just kind of blindsided me.
Oh, man.
Where you ask your partner to shove a cucumber up your ass.
What's the secret technique, Brad?
David's in chat, and he says he makes eggs in the microwave.
I used to do that when I was a kid.
I mean, yeah, I did that in like college.
Yeah, I don't know.
Think on this one. Next question.
All right, moving on. Next question from Breaking Brad. If you had to take a bullet for your fellow brethren, where would you prefer it hit and why?
Ooh.
Is there a multiple choice?
No. Just where do you want it to hit you?
That's my earlobe or something.
Just want to just have it graze you. And take
now
out
I got a pierced ear, I guess.
I think the answer is either your thigh or shoulder.
Shoulder. I feel.
I would say maybe butt. There's a lot of meat there.
Yeah, but I guess sit down a lot.
Yeah, but I also feel that that's the least to affect your life going forward. Yes, it might take a little while to heal, but in your arm, that's pretty fucked up. In your hand, all of a sudden now your hand's fucked up. Legs are something you use constantly. I don't want it fucking center chest.
Chances are, if you get shot if you get shot, chances are you're probably in a situation where you would want to be running, like trying to get away from something. So like not getting shot in the legs would be nice. I would like to still have full use of my legs in a situation in which I was shot.
There's no
What's the caliber of bullet?
The assumption is you're going to. This is going to be a monitored. You're going to survive. You're going to be. The bullet's going to be removed, right? It's a. I feel like it's a situation where you're definitely going to live, right?
I guess so.
I feel like shoulder. I feel like shoulder would be like right around here, like right in the yeah.
Dude, fuck that, man.
No,
just shoot me in the brain, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, how'd you go from earlobe to brain? Oh god.
Well, the question's complicated. I don't know.
I mean, also I'm thinking about like getting shot in the butt now, thanks to Nolan, and I'm sitting here thinking about like, if you get shot in the butt, like all I'll be able to think about is how close it came to hitting me somewhere else.
Butthole?
Can you imagine getting shot right in the butthole?
No.
What
like
about
everybody? When somebody says you got shot in the butt, like everybody thinks like in the meat, like in the
yeah.
But, like, what if you actually got shot right, like?
You're gonna have issues.
Well,
yeah,
gastrointestinal
problems.
You realize that goes other places, right? Like if it's gonna hit you in the butthole, like it's going like probably through your dick. Like
yeah, there's not gonna be enough there to stop it.
Unless the bullet's like perpendicular to your butthole or something, like, or I guess it'd have to be like parallel and it just grazes it.
If it was fired by Lee Harvey Oswald.
It's tangential to the butthole.
Like the taint, it's just like graze the taint. Like Brad's earlobe scenario, just graze the. Actually, no, that's not good. That's gonna also graze.
What are you doing when this happens, Nick? Are you
I
like
don't
squatting?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get creative.
You're
with
trying
it, okay?
out your new bidet, and a bullet comes flying by.
That's the worst kind of bidet.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a bad day. All right, let's move on. We'll do maybe one more question tonight.
Already?
From Ash, from the Burdekinshire.
That sounds like it's in the UK.
Maybe.
Or in New Zealand.
Birdkin? I don't know.
Birdkin?
The Shire.
He's from the Shire. Let's just go with that.
What's your biggest musical guilty pleasure? There's a lot of bad club music that I really enjoy, mainly due to nostalgia. Was Ash's response.
Music guilty pleasure.
I got an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can get into some of the sing along songs that Henry listens to.
But see, like, I feel like that answer is almost a cop out because you're a dad, so like.
Yeah, so
it'd be a little weirder if you were into him without a kid.
Yeah, if you didn't have a kid, that'd be then it'd be a shameful secret. But like, you have a kid, so you're obviously listening to it all the time. It's only naturally your brain would try to form a positive association with the music if you have to listen to it that often. I don't know, man. I'm not ashamed of shit.
Sometimes I blast it in my car when Henry's not even in there.
There we go.
Okay, I'm kidding.
Okay. Just pulling up to stoplights with the windows down, just blaring that.
But with like some Disney songs and stuff, man. I think most of the songs in Frozen 2 are bad, but there's a banger or two in there.
Sure. But why should you feel guilty about Disney music, man? Some of that shit's good. Like,
okay, or
really
not.
Good.
So what are you trying to do? I mean,
I don't know.
Just because you don't feel shame.
People trying to make me feel shame for music that I like.
Jesus Christ.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I'm ashamed of, music-wise.
Guilty pleasure.
I listen to a lot of lo-fi. I'm
Lo-fi?
not ashamed of it. Yeah. Lo-fi hip-hop beats to relax and study to. Or lo-fi hip-hop, like anime beats or chill beats to relax to.
I mean, I feel like this is digging for like answers like tell us how you're,
just say Nickelback, Nick.
No, I'm not gonna say Nickelback, but I was gonna say like I enjoy a good amount of pop music. You know what I mean? Like I don't know,
I
like
enjoy
Taylor
the
Swift.
pop like the kids do.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's the kind of shit they're looking for. I don't know.
But
I guess like
you don't think it's a guilty pleasure. You think it's good, right?
Yeah, there was a little while in the early teens, like 2010, 2012, 13, whatever. I kind of got into some like J-pop, K-pop for a while, but I'm not like ashamed of it. Some of those are some pretty good songs.
Lemur Dragon says he bets I'm a Katy Perry fan. I have a Katy Perry album.
What's wrong with Katy Perry?
Katy Perry's just fine.
Nothing wrong. You just sometimes the mood strikes you. Sometimes the mood strikes me.
Lemur Dragon mentioned Girls' Generation. I think they had one song that I liked, Girls' Generation.
So what you're all saying is you have no guilty pleasures because you're very secure with your likes and.
I mean,
it should be.
For me, it's like I said, like it's don't yuck someone else's yum. Like, well, who the fuck cares if they're into something? Like, whatever. I'm not hurting somebody because I like to listen to this song or something.
Well, I guess my answer works.
Sure.
You should be ashamed of yourself, Brett.
That's the point.
All right, that's all the questions this week. Like Nick had mentioned earlier, we'll get them answered at some point in the future. Just go to patreon.com/4Player, and at the top post is pinned a link to the Google form.
Yep. And we're kind of starting from scratch here on this form, so I could be wrong unless we got a bunch of questions submitted in the last 2 hours or something.
We have a few more questions, but
yeah. So, but like before, we were like weeks behind, behind on questions. So we're pretty much caught up here. So if you have any questions, if you think of a question literally, and you're like, I don't want to forget this question, but I don't want to have to wait till next week to ask them. Just literally go find the form, day or night. Post the question and we'll see it. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. Who is ready? Brad?
More ready than you, right, Nick?
How dare you? Why are you calling me out for this?
Because, man. Calling all y'all out.
Sometimes I write stuff. Sometimes I have shit planned. Sometimes I don't. Bitch.
My hype for a game called Deep Rock Galactic, which has been in early access for a long time. A lot of people have played it when it was in early access, but
Crispy talked about it extensively.
Did he?
Yeah.
But it finally came out of early access, and I'm excited to try it. I might even try it for my next stream, which is going to be Saturday, not Friday. I'm looking for some people to play it with. I'd invite Nolan, but it is his copy of the game. Yeah. Unless you really want to play it, and then maybe...
No, Brad, it's fine. Go for it.
When Crispy played it, was he playing your copy too? Probably.
It's potential, but I'm not sure.
Huh. Yeah. So
I can look up his Steam and see if he has access to it. But yes, I know I own it.
Yeah. The game looks really cool. Movement abilities, the different classes, they all seem cool. So I really want to try it. My sweat is for a game that was gifted to me by Chris Davis. Were you the one who gifted me Troubleshooter?
Yeah.
The Korean developed anime XCOM game,
yeah.
Whatever. Man. So I like my numbers in games and menus and stuff. It's insane in this game. I can't deal with it. It's too much even for me, man. There's way too many numbers. Like when anytime you take a shot in the game, it'll explain like 20 different factors that are affecting the shot and stuff, including all your different skills and stuff. It's crazy. There are times where I'm just like staring at the screen, like my masteries or the skills and stuff that you can learn, and I'm like, I can't with this, man. Where I've just had to Alt F4. It's just been too fucking much. It's crazy.
Right, it does look like Crispy owns Deep Rock Galactic.
Really?
Maybe you should talk to Crispy.
Well, yeah, but then I don't want to leave out Nolan.
Dude, it's fine. I play the game, stream it, have fun.
I want to try to get Crispy to play a video game with. I mean, period. No, I want to get him to play something that's. I guess that is multiplayer. So fuck, I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, my sweat is Troubleshooter. It's one I hear good things about, but man, it's like, it's intimidating. I don't know. My fuck you goes to Valve or Arcane or whatever happened to that canceled Half-Life game that we got a short clip of on Twitter today.
The Return to Ravenholm?
Half-Life Episode 4 is what it was called.
Yeah.
Half-Life Episode 4, Return to Ravenholm.
Yeah, it ain't a joke.
Developed by Arcane Studios, and there was a short clip of that game, and I'm like, what is that? What is it? What is Episode 3? Did this get canceled because Valve canceled in Episode 3? I don't even know what this is. When would this have come out? Why is it not called
you know what?
2 Episode 4?
You'll probably never know.
Oh, man. Yeah. Arcane has worked on some interesting things over the years. A lot of them got canceled, it seems like. And, man. Anyways, my thank you goes to Carlos, because I've been looking for like a really good game to get on the Epic Game Store for basically $5. You know, that's the cheapest you can get after you use your coupon, because it has to be on a $15 game or higher. And I was looking on everything on sale, and I'm like, this stuff seems fine. But he brought up the perfect one, and it was a game that wasn't even on sale, and that's why it was perfect. And that's why I didn't see it on the sale list. But I picked up on his tip, and it's a game I've been interested in. But Griftlands, that is the Clay developed like Slay the Spire game, where the combat is very similar to Slay the Spire, but you also get into like conversation battles, and you have a separate deck specifically for like conversations with like arguments cards and stuff, and it's a very similar type of combat system, but a different like perspective on it. And I played like very briefly today just to kind of try it out, and it seems super cool. And I picked it up for $5. It's not out of early access yet, but it seems like really polished, and you know, I just really like Clay. So yeah, thanks Carlos, because I almost forgot about that one. It's not on the sell list, but man, it's worth the coupon.
Sweet. All right, Nolan.
All right, my 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for this weekend. I have a 4-day weekend for the first time in a really fucking long time, so I'm excited to play some games and not feel like when I have to do the few chores I have to do that my entire weekend is gone. So I'm excited to play some stuff. My sweat is one of those games, might be Civilization 6, because I just picked that up. And
shit.
Maybe
I'll try it too.
Let's
have a big Civilization conversation with people who have never played Civilization next week.
Not a bad idea.
Nope.
My thank you is going to go to 2 of our community members, Villasaurus, who visited our island, watered some flowers to help make some hybrids, gave us cutting board, which is an important piece for building some of the ironwood stuff in the game, and put a 4-player shirt into our Mabel and Abel shop.
Nice.
Or Mabel Sable, the Abel shop. And the other one is going to go to Chris Thacker himself, Mr. Scorpion.
Of Kincaid, West Virginia?
That exact Chris Thacker.
Wait, Mr. Scorpion?
Mr. Scorpion is Chris Thacker. Yes.
He
didn't say anything to you. I knew when I went to his island. I know Brad went to his island. But anyway, so Chris Thacker came to our island, watered our flowers.
Please tell me he named his island Kincaid, West Virginia.
He did not. Gave us cutting boards and some Nook Miles tickets, which was not required. But Chris Thacker this week had a really good selling price for turnips. So he invited myself and Bernadette to his island where we got to sell turnips. So appreciate both of them for that. Very helpful. We were on a trend to have a big spike of upwards of like $600 this week, but it turns out it was not the case, and our turnips just decreased ridiculously. So thankfully, Chris Thacker saved us. And my fuck you is going to go to a combination of like Epic and Rockstar. For some reason, like last weekend, I got like a real like urge to play Red Dead Redemption 2, just because I like that game. I kind of wanted to kind of turn off my brain, turn off my mind, kind of just be a little cowboy for a little bit, whatever. But because Epic gave away GTA 5 for free, like Rockstar servers were shit in the bed constantly. And it's just frustrating that I know Nick has problems with digital games, and usually that's not like an issue. But like the fact that I own this game and it's installed on my computer, but I can't fucking play it. I'm not trying to play online. You know, I'm not trying to.
I played a little bit last weekend too.
I think this Saturday. It wasn't too long. It was maybe like 5 or 6 hours, but it was in the time that I wanted to play. You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those times where it's like, hey, I'm going to play this game. But then all of a sudden their servers were shitting the bed, and I couldn't even like log into the Rockstar application. Like I couldn't get to the point where, and then finally it let me in, and the only game I had access to was GTA 5, and I'm like, I don't want to I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to play this. And then finally they fixed it, but like as soon as they fixed it, I got to play for like 20 minutes, and then I'd like go make dinner or something. So it was frustrating. But anyway, that's my 4-player minute.
Cool. Chris Davis.
Okay, my first hype is one I've repeated over the past several weeks: Maneater, which comes out in about an hour. Actually,
we find out in about an hour.
We find out whether this game is moderately good or terribly terrible. I don't know, but I'm really hopeful. I'm really fucking hopeful. My second hype goes to the No Clip documentary that Brad mentioned for Arcane. They're not only showing off Return to Ravenholm, they're also showing off what LMNO was. That was that Steven Spielberg
LMNOP.
It was a Steven Spielberg project that was pitched to EA, and we got its first part, which was a block busting game. I forget what it was called, but both projects were called AB.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be really good, but this was supposed to be like a strong narrative focused title, and we never knew what happened to it, and it eventually got canceled. But we're gonna get to see it, so that's kind of cool to me.
Great, we get to see that thing that we'll never get to play.
Yeah, no, it's cool looking back at these projects.
It's cool. I get how it's cool. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, why do we do this to ourselves? It's part of history now. It's just.
I'll tell you why I like to do it. I like to look back at these things because then you can see where the elements of the next game they made came from, where these ideas were born.
That's true.
Like they were showing off like a dive move that you could do in Ravenholm as a clip. That clearly went in Dishonored. That's where that move came from. That's pretty fucking cool.
I concur.
My first thank you this week goes out, oddly enough, to Electronic Arts. They announced as part of the Command & Conquer and Red Alert remasters that they are releasing the source code for both games to the community for them to mod however they see fit. That's pretty fucking cool.
That's nice of them.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, I bet you that was a petroglyph decision. But yeah, just for them to agree to that, that's fucking great. And my second thank you goes out to Mr. Greentoes. He was kind enough to provide me with a 3-month code for Xbox Game Pass because Brad was berating me for not playing Gears Tactics.
Brad guilted Greentoes into getting.
But the problem is that it's not on Game Pass for Xbox; it's on Game Pass for PC. And because
it's really not hard to get trials for that.
I mean, sure, yeah, but he was kind enough to give it to me. I couldn't use it, so I told him to give it to somebody else, and he did. So
that's very kind of Green Toast. Have you ever done the 30-day trial of Game Pass on PC or Xbox, whichever one you said it wasn't working on?
It's free.
I mean,
if you've never made an account before, just do the 30-day trial for at least.
Here's the thing, though.
It's $5.
Here's the thing, though. I don't like playing games that I haven't owned. Okay. I don't like the idea that I'm going to lose access to this game 30 days later because I didn't pay a subscription fee.
But you can still buy it.
You can still buy the game straight up on its own.
I guess I could, but I don't know.
That's weird even for me a little bit.
I know that. I know it is. It's a thing.
But I also kind of understand it. So I'm not going to give you any shit for it. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype this week is for June and July. It didn't even occur to me how fast May was going by. Everything feels like it's taking fucking forever. We are very close to June, and June means The Last of Us Part 2, and then when that's over, it'll be July, and that means Ghost of Tsushima, and I am so excited for both of those games. I cannot wait. My sweat goes to the Silent Hill rumors, mostly because the series has a place in my heart. I love that series so much. I think it's a series that I was worried may never come back, or at least not for a very long time. And I want
that series.
I want these rumors to be true so bad, but I also don't want to let myself believe that it's true until there's something more official. Hell, Silent Hills was official for a period of time before it wasn't. I have never in my life been more excited about a game announcement than the day I found out about Silent Hills. And just months later, I had to watch it all fall apart. So it's almost like until the game's in my fucking hands, it's not real. I don't know, man. I'm worried. I don't want to let myself love again, is what I'm trying to say. My thank you goes to the community kind of in general.
You're welcome. I'm part of that community.
You are part of it. You absolutely are. Like, literally, working from home has been kind of a slog for me. I mean, part of me enjoys that. As you know, I think a lot of people at first are very like, oh, working from home is kind of cool. But over time, it's just kind of like, I feel like I haven't left the house in ages, and I feel very disconnected. And having the community kind of at my fingertips whenever I just kind of need a break and just like I take a step back, pop open Discord, talk about games for like 5 minutes with people, and then it's like a fucking refresher. It resets everything. And it's fueled my hype too. Like the Mafia thing probably would have gone, right past me, but people in Discord were excited, and it kind of got me looking into it and be like, maybe I should fucking play
I think
Mafia.
they were hoping that would happen with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I remember you brought that up last week, and everyone was like, "Yeah, Nick, how did you not play Tony Hawk? Everyone played that."
I have never played Tony Hawk. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? That's an answer. That question that we got.
For the question from earlier.
Yeah, that is a good answer for you. If you've actually played those games.
No, but truthfully, I have held a controller in my hand and played a Tony Hawk game. It was probably very brief, and I was probably very bad at it. There was nothing about that experience that made me say, I want to keep going with this and get better at it. And to see people like shower it with love and just like say this is amazing, it's never, even people, like it's one of those situations like I know what kinds of games Brad is really into. I was really honestly kind of shocked when he was like, yeah, this is like an amazing game. I don't get it.
That speaks a lot to like to what that game was back then. It didn't matter who you were, what kind of games you liked or thought you liked. Everyone played Tony Hawk because it felt so ahead of its time. It felt like, it's, people call it a platformer more than like a skateboarding game, and it's fucking true. Like it had some of the best like level design and controls of anything on the market, skateboarding or otherwise.
Yeah, and you know what?
It was a phenomenon.
Maybe I'll try it when this remake. If this remaster comes out or remake or whatever we're calling it, and people are raving about it, and it's apparently like a return to form for the series, maybe I'll use it as an opportunity to give that series a try, like an honest try for the first time. Because as of right now, I just don't get it. So, but it's because of I'm saying thank you to the community because it's because of y'all's enthusiasm that's like keeping me going, keeping me excited about things, and distracting me from.
I think Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was the first game I owned on the 64 that required a memory pack to save the game. Like, you couldn't save the game otherwise, and I wasn't exactly rolling in money when I was a kid, so I didn't have a memory pack. So I just had
started
to,
over?
Every time I played that game, I had to start from the beginning and try and get as far as I could, or just like leave it on for a ridiculous amount of time because I had no way to save my game.
Every once in a while, one of us has an anecdote like that, and I just think to myself, God, remember memory cards?
That was me. That was me in Tekken 2.
What the
Tekken
shit?
2, I unlocked every single character.
I remember the day I got, because the official Sony memory cards were like 8 megabytes, and I got an off-brand one that was 64 megabytes, and it was like, what the fuck?
I remember
so much memory.
I had like one of those little
all your saves because it was
because it was like shit. Yeah.
I had one of those little like pencil boxes that you would take to like school and stuff, and it was just like filled with like
fucking have one.
Filled with fucking memory cards. Yeah, those are the.
I still have some of my PS1 memory cards.
Wait, what?
I still have some of my PS1 memory cards.
I'm sure I have a few lying around too. It's crazy to think about.
And I bet you money those batteries still work.
Hey, look at this one. This is one of the ones that has extra
You could hit the button and it would switch, right?
I have this Precipice of Darkness one is where I kept my memory card. So here's like I have an official 8 megabyte Sony one, and I have this other 8 megabyte Sony one. But here it is. Here's my max memory, 64 megabytes memory card.
Dude, I used to put stickers on mine and like label them like this has Final Fantasy 7 on it, Final Fantasy 8. It was.
Dude, here's the adapter for the PS2 when the PS2 first came out, so you could adapt the old memory cards.
My goodness.
To play them?
No, that was for PS3.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. I meant PS3. I'm sorry. Yes,
do you still have your PS3?
Yeah.
You should load all those saves onto your PS3.
And then I have some GameCube memory cards somewhere.
And then just take your PS3 with
Chris Davis already did.
Okay.
I already did load them all on there.
All right, I'm almost done my 4-player minute.
Nick, come on, we gotta wrap up these 4-player minutes.
Y'all sort of going down memory lane.
You mean memory card lane?
Memory card lane. My fuck you this week goes to myself. You ever have those days where you're like all day long, like you're working, you're thinking about like I can't wait for work to be over. I'm gonna play so many video games tonight, and then work ends and it just doesn't happen. Instead, you sit on the couch and watch like 8 episodes of Angel back to back. That ever happened to you? It happened to me like twice this week.
It happened to me this week with Buffy.
How's that?
But not my choice.
I don't want to know.
I don't think you want to know my thoughts on Buffy.
I don't. I really don't.
Because I'm too early on in the show.
Oh, just for the record, that first season, I don't even like the first season.
No, I'm halfway through season 2.
Season 2 is the best season of the fucking show.
Really?
Yeah. But
maybe we'll briefly talk about Buffy after you end the recording.
All right, let's end this, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Of course, 4playernetwork.com is the website, so check us out there. We'll be you can find all of our podcasts there. You can leave feedback there. Discord.gg/4player if you want to join the community and hang out and talk about video games. And if you want to support us financially, we appreciate your support on Twitch or Patreon at patreon.com/4player. Also, once Brad finishes Final Fantasy 7 remake, which should be soon,
and Half-Life Alex.
Do you want to do a spoiler cast for Half-Life Alex too?
I thought we would, right?
I mean,
maybe
yes, I'm down. Just the first that's really come up. So,
maybe not.
Fuck it.
Hold on. Quick question.
Wait till you finish the game. You'll have stuff you'll want to talk about.
Quick question. There's not a whole lot of games in the next couple of weeks, right?
No.
Like new games.
No. Maneater comes out tonight.
Well, I know. And me and Nick are gonna play Civ 6. But here's my maybe thing I'm gonna throw out there. What if next week we don't record a podcast, but instead we do like 2 spoiler casts, like back to back? We'll do like a Final Fantasy 7 if Brad finishes it, and a Half-Life 2. And
man, y'all putting the pressure on me.
Yeah, do it, Brad.
It's a 3-day weekend, bro. Finish some video games.
Yeah, but my wife's gonna want to watch Buffy and not watch those video games.
Dude, I will give you a pass. We don't have to record these spoiler casts. It means you're gonna watch more Buffy. I'm sorry.
That's
Jesus.
Okay.
Guys, I love that show so fucking much. I'm sorry.
I want to talk about that. I actually want to talk about that.
I'm ending this podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys later. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.